Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka.
And I'm Yatin Mota.
Well, Yatin, what a stunning rally it was in the first part of the day. But of course, we saw wild swings during the day, and of course, the Sensex has come off nearly 500 points from the day's high after hitting that 66,000 mark for the first time ever. In fact, even the Nifty ended largely flat, after hitting a fresh high of 19,567 or thereabouts. And what was the culprit here? PSU banking index.
Correct.
That index, fell somewhere around 2% or thereabouts. Auto and FMCG were already under pressure around midday, but then, they fell further and, dragging the index down with itself. But if you look at, some of the gainers, of course, IT as a pocket was doing extremely well today, given the fact that, of course, TCS numbers weren't, didn't spring a negative surprise. They were largely on expected lines, and of course, the fact that US CPI has cooled off in the US, the street is now expecting one more hike from the US Federal Reserve, even though there is no clarity yet, but the street is hoping for one more hike. So the rate hike cycle may be coming to an end in the US. On the hopes of that, the IT stocks even in the US were among the top gainers yesterday. So a rub-off happening on the Indian stocks as well. But aside of that, if you look at the Nifty gainers, you had the likes of Infosys, TCS, Hindalco, Tech Mahindra, SBI Life, HDFC Life. All these life insurers were also doing pretty well today. On the flip side, Power Grid, UPL, which had hit a fresh 52-week low recently, Coal India, Maruti, BPCL were among the losers. Even Eicher Motors was a loser, after, in fact, it snapped a two-day gaining streak in today's session. Lots of movement in the mid and small cap end of the markets, given the fact that, both the mid and small cap indices were down nearly 1% by the end of trade. Lots of movers here, starting with Federal Bank. Numbers came out, but stock fell somewhere around 5-6%.
Yeah, the stock fell because of two reasons. Number one was the net interest margins, they contracted on a sequential basis. The slippages also moved slightly higher on a sequential basis, and the management said that they would be looking to raise funds not immediately, but probably in this financial year. So, a lot of news flows and in this stock, probably because of which there was some profit taking which came in at higher levels. Apart from that, we also had the stock of Delta Corp, which continues to fall. The stock was down 5%. Patanjali, the promoters have concluded the OFS. Demand was strong. It is just concluded. Obviously, the clearing price from the stock exchanges will be known very shortly, but the stock was down 5%. Now, if you look at other stocks which are on the positive side, we have Tejas Networks, a Tata Group company, stock up 11%. Zomato, held up with the gains, 6% up for that one, and Tanla Solutions, that stock was also up 5%. But broadly, after there was some defense deals which were announced by the agencies with respect to the PM Modi being in France, wherein India has given a provisional approval to acquire Rafale aircrafts and 3 Scorpion class submarines. There was some profit taking which came in. Initially, there was a positive reaction, but after the kind of build up which we have already seen, today defense stocks were probably facing some bit of selling pressure.
Of course, Yatin, defense stocks have been on a tear over the last few sessions, so some bit of profit taking coming in at higher levels. With that, let's take a look at the top stocks that are on our radar this afternoon. The first stock on my list, of course, is Wipro, given the fact that, it will be reporting its earnings post-market today. And, among the large cap peers, this company is expected to report the weakest earnings. Negative growth guidance likely for the second quarter, revenue and profit, both likely to dip on a quarter-on-quarter basis. It's a weak macros, project delays and subdued tech spending amid the weak macro environment in the US is something that may hurt the first quarter earnings. And, if you look at the CC revenue growth, constant currency revenue growth, that may decline somewhere around 2% or thereabouts. And EBIT margin also expected to drop to 16% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, vis-a-vis 16.3%. So all in all, profit is also expected to drop somewhere around 2% or thereabouts. If you look at the guidance for CC revenue growth, they may give a guidance of -1 to 1%. So that is also something that the street will be watching out for, the guidance. And Nomura, in fact, expects FY24 dollar guidance to be the lowest among all the other IT companies. And if you look at the segments, BFSI and consulting, these two segments have actually seen demand contraction. So we'll have to see how the numbers pan out and whether or not, Wipro does a little better than the gloomy expectations that are doing the rounds on the street. So, but the stock, if you look at it, ended higher by about 0.7%, underperforming larger peers, of course. But we'll have to see how the numbers come out and whether or not, it's some bit of a positive surprise on the earnings front. And to that, the stock will of course be reacting to it tomorrow morning. So we'll be watching out for that.
Absolutely. And Wipro and the entire IT pack, in fact, was moving quite strong, contrary to the market expectations. But the other stock which was moving in the auto pack or the auto ancillary space was SAMIL, which is Samvardhana Motherson. The stock has been upgraded by Jefferies. They have raised the target from 70 rupees to 115. So 115 is the new target. And post this upgrade from Jefferies, the stock had seen some good traction in trade today. In fact, Jefferies believes that the company performance has started to improve since FY23, and they are expecting some bit of better earnings moving forward. In fact, they have upgraded the FY25 EPS by 42%. So clearly, on the back of rising auto demand, probably Jefferies sees some upside to the earnings estimate, and also there could be one risk which Jefferies points out is the Sumitomo stake sale, because they hold close to more than 7-8% in the company, which could be on the block quite soon. So on the back of good earnings expectations, Jefferies is bullish on the stock of Samvardhana Motherson.
Well, the stock itself has done pretty well for itself, made quite a few acquisitions in the recent past, and of course heading towards that 100 mark on the charts. But the other stock on my list is Asiana Housing. Now this stock was up somewhere around 5% or thereabouts. Intraday, of course, it was up somewhere around 8% or so. The company has approved a share buyback at 301 rupees per share, and it will be buying back shares somewhere around 18.27 lakh shares at 301 rupees per share. This will be, of course, at a 51% premium to Wednesday's close price, and the buyback will be through the tender route. Tender route is when the company makes an offer to buy back its shares at a particular price, and in this case the price is at a 51% premium to yesterday's close price. So shareholders can tender their shares, which the company will buy back, and this amount will be credited to the shareholders' account. So shareholders net will be happy, given the fact that they are getting a premium to the amount of to the price at which they are holding the shares. And of course, if you look at the internals of this stock, the price to book is at somewhere around 2.9, which means that the valuations are looking attractive, but return ratios haven't been all that healthy. But when you look at the housing and NBFC space, a lot of positive sentiment is around this pocket. So looks like this stock is headed higher going forward.
So obviously this is a small cap to watch out for, but the other stock on our radar is Eicher Motors. Now JP Morgan has a neutral rating on this one. They have cut the target price by a whopping 600 rupees, and the new target price is 3050. Now JP Morgan does believe that the competitiveness in the premium motorcycle segment is quite strong these days, given the fact that Bajaj has launched the Triumph and Hero MotoCorp along with Harley has launched affordable premium segment bike. Now this has been known for quite some time, and now JP Morgan does believe that probably the earnings multiple for Eicher Motors will decline from 25 times, which is historic, to 20 times. So probably earnings would be there. Competition will take time to ramp up production, and Eicher Motors also plans some new launches according to news reports. But that apart, even if there is earnings momentum or probably sales in the short term, longer term, the brokerage believes that there could be some earnings contraction given the competitiveness and also the multiple contraction. So on the back of this, they have cut the target price. Obviously, after the fall, the stock was recovering in trade today. But clearly, brokerages have not been gung-ho on the stock of Eicher Motors, especially after the competition has been ramping up the plans to really take up the market share which Eicher has made in the Royal Enfield or the premium motorcycle segment.
Yatin, interestingly, I've been talking to a lot of people about, which bike would they prefer now that the premium bike race is heating up, whether it's Harley, whether it's Bajaj Triumph or Enfield. A lot of them have said we'll stick to Enfield, given the fact that, it's an emotion, it's a cult. And in fact, I was talking to Atul Suri of Marathon Trends PMS today. He was in our studios, and he also said that, Enfield is an emotion, and I don't ride bikes, but if I did, I would definitely go for an Enfield. Well, with that, I think we've come to the end of this edition of Closing Bell. But of course, we'll be getting you live coverage of Wipro Q1 earnings that will be coming out later this evening. So tune in for that on Moneycontrol. And of course, if you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. We'll take note of them. And then, of course, I'll be back with the markets at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow. So don't forget to tune in. But for now, it's a goodbye from me and Yatin. Thanks a lot for watching. But for more news and all your other financial updates, stay tuned to Moneycontrol.